I suppose probably my father. My dad was he was career Navy, and then he had a second career as an American history social studies teacher, high school. And we grew up debating things around the kitchen table. And basically, the message I grew up with was do the right thing, know the difference between right and wrong, and when you see something that you want to change it. Don't just complain about it, actually do something. So that's, I guess, how I started getting involved with activism and ultimately this position.
I was particularly inspired by the librarians of my childhood. It seemed like they did magic every day when I would go to the library and ask for information on a subject that I was interested in, or asking for more books like the great book I just read, and they would just magically appear, and that inspired me.
Who inspired me to do the work that I do as your Monroe County tax collector was Harry F. Knight. I started working for Mr. Knight in 1985, and I started as a floater in the accounting department, and I worked my way up to the assistant tax collector. He approached me in reference to running as the Monroe County tax collector, and he inspired me, and I wanted to continue to run the office as efficiently and customer service friendly as he did.
As a community person, an inspiration to me from a very young age is Miss Phyllis Allen, who is a community leader and through the Monroe County School District has held many positions, worn many hats, and she always inspired me. She continues to inspire. And when we look globally, and some people say, but I always say this, Mary McLeod Bethune inspired me greatly. Everyone knows all the great things that she accomplished, how she accomplished them, what a woman she was. Miriam Wright Edelman, she is phenomenal. She's the founder of the Children's Defense Fund, but she's an author. When you think about people who overall have given and made a difference, she's one that I always look to. Learning is a lifelong thing. I truly believe that. Truly.
I think the inspiration were the working people of Key West who felt that they couldn't speak up for themselves if they saw an issue that needed to be addressed or something wasn't happening the way it should. And I learned that when I started to ask questions at city commission meetings, some of these people who might work for the electric company, the water company, a government municipality, would say, "We loved you last night." And I'd say, "Y'all are younger than me. Why don't you speak up?" And their answer was, "Because we like to keep a roof over our head and food on the table." So I would say it's the working people of Key West who inspired me to do what I'm doing, because being in an elected position was never on my bucket list.
The work I did originally, which was to come down here and work for Art McKee with his project of the Spanish ships, getting the treasure off of the Spanish ships, was probably my English teacher. Because we used to have in that class many discussions, shall we say, about back then diamonds were what you should save for money instead of investing it, because diamonds always improved. Nowadays it's gold. But the second one was probably a woman by the name of Doris Kemp, who was one of our first paramedics on the Upper Keys. And when my husband passed away, I immediately signed up for her classes. And that led to many years of volunteer work on the ambulance, and to a paid job with the county, and to retirement, for which I get a nice state check today. So that worked out well. In politics was a woman named Alice Allen, who still lives in Tavernier, and cringes every time I say this. but she made me not only get into politics, interested in local politics, but tricked me into standing up before the county commission. I was much, much too shy to do that before. And she tricked me into it, and I thought, well, I didn't die that time, so I'll do it again. And look at me now, the mouth. And that's about it, you know. As you go along, different people get you interested in different facets. And you couldn't find three more different than fire rescue, the treasure ships out there in the ocean, and politics.
I would have to say that honestly it was my entire family from growing up that really encouraged me just to explore the world around me, be curious, and really respect history. My father and I would go on trips and to Colonial Williamsburg or to museums in Chicago, and I just really fell in love with learning about history and fossils and dinosaurs, and that just kind of steamrolled into where I am now.
Don't take no for an answer. If we had taken no for an answer, we would all be paying probably twice as much for windstorm insurance as we already are. If we took no for an answer, we wouldn't have had a C2C rainbow flag. And be true to yourself. Don't be dissuaded by people who will tell you you can't do something, because it's just not the case. Just be true to who you are, keep moving forward, and as my friend Diana Nyad would say, find a way. You can do it.
I think it's really important to think about where you love to be and to help that guide your choices into what you want to become. Do you like being out in nature? Do you like being in a bustling environment? Do you like being around art? For me, obviously, I like to be around people who love books. It's not so much important right now to figure out that exact career, because that will probably change a couple of times over the course of your lifetime. But figure out where you want to be, what kind of places feed your imagination and curiosity.
My advice to anyone that would take over this position as your Monroe County tax collector is to be honest with yourself and to be honest to others, and then everything else will fall into place.
Young people, first, get the best education you can. Don't stop. It's never too late. Education is important. Dr. King always said, education and character will take you a long way, and it's of vital importance. Education is vital to whatever you do in life. And it is lifelong, but getting the best education is very important. Always being prepared is something that I tell young people. Be prepared for any and everything. And again, always being committed, giving 100%, working hard, and if you have to give 110%, you give it. Whatever you're involved in, always give that. Always give of yourself. Stay true to yourself and your beliefs and your values. And remember, never forget, I always tell them, never forget your community. Remember that you have to give back. You have to give back. That's important. Help to make a difference. And in the end, that you're leaving or you're making the world a better place for everyone.
I would say to them, understand and learn what you can in school. No matter who you are, always remember that it doesn't take money to have class. You can have class, you can be courteous, no matter whether you're a guy or you're a girl. Follow your dreams and always do the right things for the right reasons, and you won't go wrong. That will help you in business, that will help you in your personal life, and that will help you if you want to serve the community.
Well, if you, by follow in my footsteps, you mean do what pleases you, do what you find interesting or fun or rewarding in some way. I've never, ever worked a job that I didn't like. Many times I got bored with the job after 4 or 5 years and switched over to something else, but never because I didn't like it to begin with. Every job I've ever had has been very interesting, and the people I worked with have been also very nice. I think the advice I would give is to get all the education you can while you're young and have a brain to absorb it, and parents maybe to help pay for it. That would be nice. When I got out of high school, the only thing I could go to college for would be a teacher or a nurse. Even in the military, I would have been a secretary. And that didn't appeal to me. That was just too boring. And so I, with my parents' permission, packed a suitcase, hopped on a plane, and came to Florida. And that is where I got the job with Art McKee, working the treasure ships. Something that no one else in my class would ever get to do. I was totally in awe of myself that I did this and that it worked out so well. But I would say get all the education you can right up until you're, 50, 60 years old. If there's a course out there that sounds interesting, go take it. It beats watching TV, but do that, and also just be open to any suggestion that comes along. A different job, a different trip. Hey, how would you like to go to Mexico for 2 weeks? I have to do a dig somewhere, archaeological, and you can carry the buckets. For gosh sakes, go, carry those buckets. You may end up to be an archaeologist, who knows? But go for it.
I would say probably the same advice that my family has always taught me is just to be yourself, and if you are really interested in it, it doesn't matter what anybody else says to you. If they call you nerdy or dorky because you love the things that you love, it's okay. And that's something that I will always be proud of, that I love what I love and I do what I do. So just don't listen to them.